Nicole Ansoni is a young Ethiopian Rwandan chef, entrepreneur, and investor who moved back to Rwanda in 2013 to, pursue her entrepreneurial dreams, but also get to reconnect with her family. My mother is Rwandan, my father is Ethiopian. Both diplomats. They worked for different organizations, and so my whole life I moved around. I was actually blessed to move around, live in different countries, learn from different cultures, and that kind of inspired who I am today and the network that I've been able to establish thus far. I was born in New York. I am the only girl with 4 brothers. One who passed away, unfortunately, a few years back, who was based in New York. At the time I moved back in 2013, 3 of my brothers were here, entrepreneurs already themselves. They had, achieved quite some personal success of their own. But of course, not without any struggle and different hurdles. But having traveled around the world a lot, and also having been to boarding school and so on and so forth, I ended up living away from my family most of my life. We would always reconnect here and there in one country or another. But I lived far away from my family for some time, did my university studies at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia in the US. Majored in something that has nothing to do with what I do now, absolutely nothing. I did political science and international relations. And today I find myself an entrepreneur, mostly in hospitality and tourism. And delighted that I followed my childhood passion, which was to become a chef. And my childhood dream was to own a restaurant. And I think the little girl today would be proud to see that I've come a little bit further than the original dream. I wanted to become a chef, and to my African mother, that made absolutely no sense. That was not a career, that is not a respectable job, that is not something that will give you a future. I might as well have told her that I wanted to be, an artist. She really didn't see, coming from such an educated background, she really didn't see how I could make a life for myself. Cooking for other people. And so when the conversation was, listen, you either go to school or we cut you off, I went to school. So that's what we did, I went to school, and I think today it has kind of come full circle, because I think today my parents see that it's important to let your kids dream, and that maybe if you let them pursue their dreams, they could go a little bit further. So I did the schooling thing, finished at the University of Pennsylvania, worked for international organizations, and then in 2013 decided to come back home and work for my brothers, and then start really embarking on my entrepreneurial journey, which didn't lead to the restaurant business immediately, because the restaurant business is quite of a mammoth kind of business to enter into. But the point was having the courage to take that step, believing in myself that I could do something that was a bit outside of the box I had been put in. So the first business actually I started when I first moved back to Rwanda was a cleaning company. So I started a small cleaning company, and we did corporate jobs. We cleaned offices, so on and so forth. And that was my first, I think, opportunity to really not only gauge with local human resources and what it took to, open a company that needed certain kind of resources, equipment that wasn't found locally, staff that would be able to communicate in multiple languages. So that was my first company. The second company that I opened was an event management company, which now was on a larger scale and involved more people. And then the third that we're sitting in right now is Ingha Steakhouse. my restaurant which is not my only restaurant. I actually have had the benefit of having more right now. But how this all started was just a belief in myself, other people believing in me and telling me that it was time, this was a lifelong dream and that I could do it. But the question now was to raise capital, right? Because the first business, the cleaning company, was not a company that required large capital. And because I had worked before, I was able to use my savings to start that first business. And so the second business sort of ricocheted from the first business. And then the third now required a larger capital. Because I think the biggest question people have is, well, I have an idea and I have a dream, but then how do I get started? Where do I find financing for this dream? And so through my other businesses, I was able to fund, at least know that I was going to be able to have the resources to start this restaurant, which then led to other opportunities in hospitality and so on and so forth. And starting a restaurant, and because I am the executive chef of this restaurant, and I was working my way through kitchens, it's very hard. It's very hard as a woman to work your way into kitchens because it's very male dominated. And it's an old, archaic French system that is, male dominated, but now women are breaking that wall. However, in hospitality, we find there are many women in the sector. However, they're only in service jobs. They're not in managerial positions. And a lot of times it's because there's been some lack of opportunity. So lack of opportunity for higher education to go into management positions. And really, that is where we need to do more. And also opening the doors. It's people like me and so many of my other colleagues that are females that have to sort of pave the way and say, well, we have to break these doors and show that it is possible for a young female to own a hospitality business and run it, and I think the most important thing is we go back to my parents not believing in my dream of wanting to do it. And today, my mother being my biggest champion, in everything that I do, of course she always was, but being my biggest champion in me now being in hospitality and being a chef. But what it is we should celebrate our girls and we should celebrate them in whatever field that they want to go into. And I think there's a lot of pressure on African women in society to be multiple things. We have to be good daughters and good mothers and good wives, and that is a priority. And I think that, but at the same time now, we look at Rwanda, which is an example of so many women, overqualified even, that are in management positions. And really that is the example for the rest of Africa, is to see that we can do it all. We don't have to just be mothers and wives, but we can also have successful careers. So I think really it starts at home. It starts how we talk to our daughters about what is the possibility. I know I grew up in a household where everything was possible, but as long as you went to school. But I also want my kids to know that you can be anything that you want to be. You can be an artist, you can be, you can be an engineer, you could be a dancer if you so wish. As long as you can pay your bills. As long as you can pay your bills at the end of the day, let's just be responsible about that. But I think allowing your kids to dream, but with structure. So tell them, okay, you want to do this, but what's the plan? What's the plan? How do you achieve that? So a dream without a plan is just a missed opportunity. Hospitality is hard. I mean, any business is hard because it's a business of people. It's a business of, one, dealing with people, you train people, but you take care of people, right? So in the word hospitality is the word hospital. And people don't really think about that, but our job is to cater to people, to love people. And so the challenge is when you have a team is to have them also embrace that same philosophy, and that all of you lead with the heart and lead with taking care of people. But of course, there are many challenges. You talk about technical challenges. There are technical challenges in human resource. Acquiring human resource, the right human resource on the continent is difficult in our industry. It's getting better, but it's very difficult. Training and maintaining staff, quality of standards, access to products, which can be hard. In Rwanda, it's landlocked, and it can be a challenge for different countries depending on, my main activities are in Rwanda and Southern West Africa. I'd like to see more women in managerial positions, and it's not for lacking brilliant women in the country and in Rwanda and on the whole continent who have so much more to offer, because as women we bring something different to the table. We bring a different energy, we bring a different charisma, different kind of empathy also that we bring to whatever career that we go into. And patience. So I think we're ready. We're on the right path. We have a long way to go. Rwanda's tourism sector is expanding every day. I have the pleasure of serving in the Chamber of Tourism, and I'm on the board of the Hospitality Association. So in that position, I represent all of the restaurants in the country. So it's been great to see more female owners in different provinces. So we always put a highlight on Kigali and what is happening in Kigali, but there are a lot of hospitality businesses that are opening up in other provinces, led by women. So to any young girl dreaming of entering into the hospitality business, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's the hotel business, my advice to you would be, first of all, decide exactly what it is that you want to do in this business. Is this something that's going to require you to get a specific education, specific training for it? Is it something that's going to require you to acquire skills, which I would advise is by working under somebody? Get a summer job, get an internship somewhere, see how it's done, see if you really like it. You might not even like it. Sometimes we have a dream and we think that we want to do something, but we don't know if we're really cut for it. So maybe ask somebody for an internship, 6 months, 3 months even. Look for people who are doing it, speak to them, ask for a meeting, ask for advice, find out what is the path for me. If I want to become a chef, what is the path that I need to do? If I want to own a restaurant, what's the journey? But you can only do that if you ask someone. There's only so much Google can do, but if you ask someone who's doing it, how did you do it? How can I start? And then once you have that, then you can start looking for capital and saying, okay, I know I need to do this kind of training. Now I need the finance to be able to build my small business, which would cost me X, Y, Z, or I need this experience to be able to get a recommendation to get into that hotel, to be able to work in management in that hotel in the future. So it's sort of laying the groundworks. Once you have your deck stacked, figuring out the finances part of, if it's a business, the financing part of it. And for that, there are very simple things. You could either reach out to a bank, but as a young girl, I doubt you'd find the capital for that. So the second would be to find people who believe in you, who want to invest in your dream. So commit to your dream. First of all, figure out what is your dream. Find out if really the job is for you. Second, commit to doing the work that is going to be necessary for you to be able to achieve that dream. And then start looking for the financing, which will come, because if you have the vision, people will believe in you. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Surround yourself with people who are knowledgeable. Surround yourself with people who have done it before, who can mentor you to continue to reach your goals. And then after that, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. You believe in yourself. You are your best asset. You are the one that people choose to believe in. And so, even if you're going to a bank to ask for a loan, if you don't believe in your idea, they won't. So first, it starts with you.